What's up, guys? I'm Spaz, your YWC reality check, so go ahead and tag me in. I'm going to let you know right now, this is going to be a very rambling video. This is going... I have no idea how long this is going to be, because this is another episode of Road Signs, but this is the episode of Road Signs where I'm going to sit back and contemplate a few things. Now, most of the things I want to talk about are things that have been, brought to my attention, things that have that other people have done, other people have said. People have inspired me to do this video. I've been wanting to do this video for about a week and a half now, and I haven't gathered my thoughts in such a way that I could, come on here and say what I wanted to say. Of everybody that I've met in the YWC, I am privileged to converse with a lot of people that make me think about things in an entirely different way than I would have, for sure. A lot of you know that I was, what first prompted me to start doing videos like this was I used to watch Mark R. Pearson's videos, and I thought he was one of the most brilliant wrestling fan minds I'd stumbled across. Now that mantle goes to somebody else, and I don't say this lightly. That mantle goes to John of Beer Money 2K. There is a reason that I have quite legitimately referred to John multiple times as the Jim Ross of the YWC. John did a video a little while ago, a long commentary that I was very fortunate to have a long bus ride to sit through so that I could listen to his commentary, and it was all about Wrestlemania, the fans' perspective, what Wrestlemania means to me. Very reflective and very passionate for a wrestling fan. And I marked out because he mentioned me a bunch of times in a bunch of references, and that's always cool to hear. It's always cool to hear people that you listen to mention you by name. So yes, I will admit some of that got my attention, and I thank John for that, and I did thank him, and I continue to thank him and stuff. Went over a bunch of different things. Like I say, about WrestleMania, what it means, what it's the accumulation of, and how it sort of means something different for everybody. The one quote that, because, John, he's one of the horsemen, he's part of Beer Money 2K, most of the references he's going to make are going to be about him and Preston and Alex and Ashton, a great group of guys. If you don't know who they are, go look them up, Beer Money 2K, Eon Izzle, and Deluxe Man. But, there's one quote that I want to read you guys, and the names that he listed off when he made this particular quote, there wasn't 4, there was 6. And the quote was something along the lines of, and I'm sorry if I don't quote this directly, WrestleMania is our moment. Whether you're John, Alex, Ashton, Preston, Wrestling Jesus, or SpazPhoenix, it's our moment. It doesn't get the press coverage of a Super Bowl, the respect of a Stanley Cup, or the cheers and praise of a World Series, but it's ours. And that's what it means to me. And that's a pretty good sum up of WrestleMania. I would like to add to it, because John, as most of his videos do, not only says his piece, but challenges the rest of the YWC to respond. Now, what I'm about to say about WrestleMania, and about wrestling, and about being a wrestling fan, it makes sense in my head. I have no idea whether it's going to translate, whether the thoughts in my head are going to, be the words that come out of my mouth. But wrestling, and being a wrestling fan, and WrestleMania, but, all encompassed in wrestling. Wrestling is for wrestling fans. And that seems like a very simplistic statement, but it's really, I mean it in a very deep way. Wrestling has always meant 2 things for me. If you're a real wrestling fan, if you are a respectful, proper wrestling fan, you get it, and you know. Now, there's 2 different statements there, and I want to explain both of them. When I say wrestling fans know how the rest of the world sees us. We're not the first thing that's going to be shown on any particular sports network, you know, whatever channel you watch Raw or SmackDown on, or, you know, if you're in an area that gets NXT and Superstars on television and whatnot, you know it's going to be preempted if there's a big football game or a big soccer game, or it's going to be delayed, or they'll show it on a repeat tomorrow. You know that if Raw or the Super Show comes to your town, you might hear about it on the radio if the radio station is giving away tickets and something like that. But as far as sports go, wrestling is sort of the redheaded stepchild of, you know, quote unquote legitimate sport. You know, it's kind of the running gag to anybody that's a fan of anything else. Being up here in Canada, I've constantly gotten the, why would the hell would you watch wrestling? Why, what kind of Canadian are you wasting your time watching wrestling when you could be watching a great Canadian sport like hockey? And every time I hear it, I heard it just recently, actually, and it's one of those things where if you knew a fucking thing about wrestling, you would know all the contributions that Canadians have made to professional wrestling, like a Bret Hart, like an Owen Hart, like Stu Hart's Dungeon, Natty Neidhart, Tyson Kidd, D.H. Smith, Test, Val Venus, Edge, Christian, Jericho, Benoit, yes I said Benoit, Gail Kim, Trish Stratus, I could go on and on, Bobby Roode, Eric Young, you know it, right? And you know what your friends say. Well, how the hell can you watch that shit? It's so bullshit, it's so fake, it's so boring, and this and that. And we just know, and I don't say this lightly, and I don't mean to offend anybody when I say this, but wrestling fans as a group, like any race or creed or religion or nationality or sexuality or orientation or identification that has been downtrodden, spoken ill of, treated badly and whatever, whether or not we like each other, and yeah, I've had my problems here with people in the YWC in the past, but whether or not we like each other, we can all look at each other and we all know. And there's a comfort in that. And it doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter, but sometimes it does. And you know, sometimes it gets to be too much, and then sometimes you get somebody like me having a rant, and then you get Preston becoming the psycho shooter, and you know what, I'm starting to get that, and I didn't get it before, and now I do. You get guys like John who don't necessarily flip their lid, but come out and do something like what he did with his WrestleMania video. And you're not alone in the wrestling fan community, because there's that unspoken, I look at you, you look at me, and we both just know. Now that's what I know means. I get it is a lot harder to understand. If you're a wrestling fan, if you commit yourself to wrestling, it's because you get it. And the minute you try to explain it, you prove that there's something that you don't get it. If you get it, then your favorite guy is your favorite guy. No matter whether he loses every match, wins every match, you can stand up for him and cheer him at the end. If you get it, it doesn't matter if you're in the front row or if you're in the back row. I'm going to show you something, right? I'm going to end up showing you two things, actually. But if you get it, you're like me. WrestleMania, the last time WrestleMania was in Toronto was WrestleMania 18. I couldn't go. I missed the on-sale date by like a week because, you know, communications were bad and this and that. I had a friend call me, and her friend was in such a bad financial state that she was selling her WrestleMania ticket. I got a $60 nosebleed seat to WrestleMania for $100, and I couldn't be happier. I really, really couldn't, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, because I get it. I will not sit here very often and say that I'm great and wonderful and I belong on a pedestal, but I can stand here proudly and properly, and I can tell you guys that I get it. Because you know who gets it? The ones in the nosebleed seats get it. You know who's not in the nosebleed seats? The half-ass fans that say, oh, well, you know, there's only nosebleed seats left, what's the point? I'm not going to go, I'll go next time. If I can't get front row, I'm not going to go. Those are the fans. I question whether they get it. I do. And when I was at WrestleMania that year, 10 years ago, You know, just to put that out there. The last time we had a great torch passing match, I got this. This is the WrestleMania 18 jersey. I got that at Skydome 10 years ago. That doesn't fit me. I'm not a small guy. I'm not nearly as small as I was 10 years ago. But I still wear that every WrestleMania. Doesn't matter. I've had a barbecue the last couple of years for WrestleMania, and, you know, a party for anybody that wants to stick around for the show. Most of my friends won't. Most of my friends will come for the barbecue, will, you know, pat me on the shoulder at like 5 minutes to 7 before the show starts and say, you know, have a good show. And that's fine. And I'm sitting there in a barbecue and I'm wearing that thing and it doesn't fit me anymore and it looks dumb. And if I was a casual, you know, half-ass wrestling fan, I would say, you know what, time to hang it up, put it in the back of my closet somewhere. But you know what, I don't. I wear that every year, no matter what, because I get it. And because I was there, and because from now until the day that I am in the ground, I will be able to say, I was at Skydome that day. I saw Triple H fight Jericho. More importantly, I saw Hogan pass the torch to The Rock. And that matters a hell of a lot more than how much the ticket cost, or where I was sitting, or the fact that I went with a guy from my high school that I couldn't stand. Could not stand. Would rather spit on him than look at him. But you know what? As soon as I got to my seat, he disappeared. He was there, but he wasn't. It matters more than where I was sitting, how much the jersey cost, whether the jersey still fits, how much the ticket cost, you know, the fact that I paid, you know, $100 for a $60 ticket. Hand on heart, I would have paid more. Friend of a friend, helping them out, sure, that's not the reason I would pay more. But, you know, hand on heart, helping out a friend, and you know what? If they're anything like me, for them to hand over a ticket to WrestleMania, I would not eat for a week. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I would starve, but you know, I would go very lean for a week or so before I would give up a WrestleMania ticket, nosebleed or not. Last thing I'm going to say about getting it, or sorry, last two things I'm going to say about getting it. The most brilliant thing I have ever had is a friend of mine that I used to go camping with, and when she moved to Toronto for a brief time, it was nice for her to have somebody close by, so me and her spent a lot of time together, and she knew that I was into wrestling, and she said to me one day, why don't you bring a couple wrestling DVDs to my place, and you can try to show me what it's all about. And I brought over a lot of them were WrestleMania type stuff, a lot of them, you know, being me, you know, Jeff Hardy, Shawn Michaels, ladder match type stuff, Elimination Chamber type stuff. And she sat there, had a great time with me. We watched DVDs for a whole night and a half, I think. And at the end of it, she said she had a lot of fun, but she looked at me and she said she didn't get it. And she's like, I can tell you're having a great time, but, you know, Spaz, I just don't get it. And yes, people call me Spaz in real life, but that's another story for another time. She looked at me and she said, I just don't get it. And I looked back at her and I said, that's okay. Because if you don't, you don't. Anybody that's not a wrestling fan, I don't hate you. I don't even, I'm not going to try and convert you, because it is very much an I get it or I don't get it thing. Last thing I'm going to say before I move on is, when I first became a wrestling fan, when I was a kid, and you know, you say different things when you're a kid, and I said, sooner or later, I'm not going to be a wrestler, obviously. I'm not going to be working for the WWE. I'm not going to be going on tour or any of that crap. But I said, sooner or later, I'm going to be standing in a wrestling ring for some reason. I want to show you guys something. That is a picture of me and Kurt Angle. That is a picture of me and Kurt Angle standing in a wrestling ring. Now, that, as a wrestling fan, as part of my wrestling memorabilia, that picture is probably one of the more valued items that I have. And with all due respect to Kurt Angle, it's not because Kurt Angle's in the picture. Yeah, meeting Kurt Angle was cool and all. Kurt Angle, who used to main event WWE programming, etc., etc., etc. But it was because I was standing in the ring. No, it wasn't a WWE ring. It wasn't at Raw. It wasn't I wasn't the center of attention at WrestleMania with 100,000 fans screaming my name. No. I went to the Ricoh Coliseum in Toronto for a TNA house show. And the show ended a bit early, and they said anybody who wants to pay a nominal fee or whatever, come up into the ring, get your picture taken with Kurt Angle. And because the attendance was so shit, they guaranteed everybody that wanted their picture taken in that ring with Kurt Angle would get through before the night was over, before they closed the doors. Now, somebody that doesn't get it would say, you know, you were standing in a TNA, it was a TNA house show, there was nobody there, why do you care? You know, it's not like it was WrestleMania or anything. But they don't get it. When I was a kid, like 15 years ago or so, I'd been saying in my head ever since, one day I'm going to stand in a wrestling ring. And you know what? For better or for worse, and no matter the reason why, I'm standing in a wrestling ring in that picture. I'm standing in a wrestling ring in that photo for a couple of seconds. You know what? It might not mean anything to the next guy, and that's okay. But it means something to me. And that's what WrestleMania is. WrestleMania is for the ones that get it and the ones that know to hold up your jersey, to step up into the ring for a second. I guarantee you, best feeling in the world was reaching up for one of those ring ropes and stepping between them and standing in that ring. For sure. Bar none. There are ways that I would equate standing in that TNA house show ring in that almost empty arena with standing in the nosebleeds at WrestleMania 18. I can't explain it, but it's there. And it's all that it. It's all that stuff that you can't explain. And as soon as you try to explain it, you're not getting it anymore. And that's it. So WrestleMania comes around, what does it mean to me? It means I'm going to sit my ass in front of the TV and watch WrestleMania. If some other people want to come by, that's awesome. But you know what? The ones out there that get it, you know, the Beer Moneys and the Eon Izzles and the Deluxe Mans and the British Fists, and we're all together. Whether or not I have anybody here after the barbecue on April Fool's Day 2012, whether there's anybody physically in this room, because my TV is right over there, you can't see it, but whatever, right here, right sitting where I'm sitting right now, I'm going to turn around, WrestleMania is going to be on that TV. If there's nobody in this room, I will know that I am not alone. I am not going to sit here and say that, you know, Preston's down the road and, you know, he's bringing a bag of chips, and Mr. Parkin, you know, he's picking up the 2-4 beer before the show starts, and, you know, they're all carpooling in Hannah Banana Bob's minivan to my house as we speak. I don't need to. Because, you know, some of those people are across the pond. Some of those people are below the border under me. Some of them are in Canada. Wrestling Jesus is up here in Canada with me. God help me if I know where he lives or want to creep him, because that would be awkward. But whether it's, you know, the UK, the US, Canada, I think I have people that watch this channel in Australia, and if that's true, that's awesome. Doesn't matter where we are. We're all together that day. Doesn't matter where any of us are, we're all doing it, we're all loving it. We're not all cheering for the same people, for sure, but we are all cheering. And that's what WrestleMania means. That's what any pay-per-view means, really. That feeling surges through the Royal Rumble. You know, from New Year's Day, we're counting down the days till the Rumble. After the Rumble, we're almost set. You know, the fever is starting to rise. You know, we try to take a medication to even out the fever, at around Elimination Chamber time, you know. And either we calm right down and everything's smooth sailing, or we have a bad reaction and we freak out, and we freak out from this Sunday coming up till April 1st. Personally, I hope we all freak out. I hope WWE hands us something that we didn't expect. I really do. A lot of people are saying a lot of things are very predictable right now. One thing I will say, Undertaker, Jamie Loves Taker, is one of the I can't even put it into words. I'm glad I met her, you know, at least on YouTube and on Twitter and all that. People like Jamie make me happy because, yeah, I tweet a lot during Raw and SmackDown and whatever, and then I sort of calm down in between. But I know when I come home from work, when I come home from wherever I've been, I'm going to check my Twitter, and there's going to be about 75 tweets from Jamie in my feed. And granted, some of them will be from Eminem, and that's a bit questionable. But a lot of them are going to be for The Undertaker, and especially for somebody like Jamie. And this is where the WrestleMania feeling comes in. Especially for somebody like Jamie, whose horse is The Undertaker, who's only really around at WrestleMania time anymore. What I want to say to Jamie, look me in the eye, look your monitor into my camera, whatever. Enjoy your time, because you have backed a horse who is WrestleMania. So, Jamie, whatever anybody else says, whoever anybody else is backing going into WrestleMania, this is your time, and don't let anybody take it away from you. That's it. Now, later on in John's video, like I said, he makes mention of several people, and the people that they support, the people that they back, the most obvious of which being Alex and his fandom for Daniel Bryan, which cannot be measured. And that is awesome. You know, he mentions Ashton, Eon Izzle, who I believe is firmly in the camp of Dolph Ziggler. He himself is back in Cody Rhodes. They have another friend who's also back in Undertaker. Hard to really gauge who Wrestling Jesus actually likes, isn't it? But I'm sure even if he doesn't say it in his videos, that he's backing somebody. And then he comes to me and he says something along the lines of, "What about SpazPhoenix? I know you got your Fave 5, your Young Guns. What do you want from WrestleMania?" Now, before I talk about my Fave 5, because I love that he brought up the Fave 5, I think that's absolutely fucking brilliant. Before I talk about that, I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to talk about Preston. Now, for those of you that haven't gotten the memo yet, for those of you that are still sending me messages about my former issues with Preston, me and Preston are good. You know, I don't think he and I are ever going to be best buddies, but, you know, friggin', we shot on each other for a while. It faded, whatever. We both respect Rey Mysterio, and that needs to be let go. And I'm saying publicly, right now, Preston, it's over. Alright? Preston did a video on Fandom. I think it was a response to something else that Alex had done, I'm not entirely sure. But, you know, Preston being Preston, his Fandom video largely centered around Rey Mysterio. And it was very personal, and it was very passionate, as it is from the guys in Beer Money 2K. And he talked at the end about going through Rey withdrawal. And this was before this Monday Night Raw. This was before WWE went to San Diego and we didn't see Rey Mysterio at all. I was fully expecting that I would get home from work today and there would be some kind of rant from Preston sitting right there in my YouTube feed, and there wasn't, which only leads me to believe that he's got to be simmering somewhere. But he talks about his Rey Mysterio withdrawal, and it really got me to thinking, you know, John asked me what I want from WrestleMania, and ultimately, what I ultimately want from WrestleMania, I'm not going to get. I'm not going to get it. Because what I want from WrestleMania isn't even in WWE right now. I wonder if any of you out there remember a scrappy, colorful-haired guy named Jeff Hardy. Here's where everything goes downhill for me in this video. one of the most famous or infamous events in WWE these days is Hell in the Cell. When people think of Hell in the Cell, they think of Undertaker throwing Mick Foley off the cell, through a table, pushing his tooth up through his nose, and all the gory scene that went with that. I think of the first Hell in the Cell, Undertaker Shawn Michaels, and the interruption by Kane. And the reason I think about that is, although it was an exciting time to be a wrestling fan, it was a time when not much caught my eye. I knew what was great and what was shit, but I expected great to be great. So, okay, great is great, but I expected it to be great, so that's not really surprising. It was the very first time that I saw the Hardys. Was the night after Hell in the Cell, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. The night after Kane debuted. When the Hardy Boys came out, and they were still back then in, short hair and tie-dyed spandex, and they ate a double chokeslam from Kane, and that was, Kane's big entrance into Monday Night Raw. And I didn't even really know why at the time, but it stuck with me. It's not even like they had a match, it's not even like they pulled out any offense, but the image of Kane chokeslamming Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, it's still in my head to this day. Not in any, like, I'm dwelling on it kind of way, but I remember it. And I remember, sitting wherever I was and watching it and thinking, oh shit, not only does Kane look like a beast, but now later in my more analytical wrestling fan thing, I get to thinking, well, for Kane to look that beast against two guys, they must have sold it pretty well. And the Hardys always caught my eye. Yeah, they were flashy. Yeah, they were a bit alternative, in their clothing and their appearance, and, their wrestling style was a bit different, whatever. It was obvious from the beginning that Jeff was better than Matt. I have no, there's all kinds of controversy about the Hardy Boys and what they've been through and their demons and whatnot. I don't bear any ill will towards Matt Hardy, just he happens to be the Jannetty of their team. But Jeff Hardy, he grabbed me. It's all I can say. He grabbed me like Rey Mysterio grabbed Preston. He grabbed me like Daniel Bryan has Alex right now. And he's never really... let me go. Hold on. My camera's being funny. Sorry guys, this camera really hates me, and that was the worst possible time for it to cut out. Like I say, Jeff Hardy grabbed me, and Jeff Hardy still grabs me now. I don't care what anybody says. I'm taking very much the Preston, Alex, etc., attitude on it. You don't like that I'm a Jeff Hardy fan? Fuck you. Jeff Hardy is... okay. I like TNA, but Jeff Hardy's the reason I'm watching. If that makes sense. There's other great talents in TNA, but I wouldn't be watching if Jeff Hardy wasn't there. I'll say it straight out. But, you start talking about what's some of your greatest memories of Jeff Hardy. Obviously, the Hardy Boys eventually run up across two good old Canadian boys named Edge and Christian, and slowly begin to revitalize tag team wrestling. World Tag Team Champions, WWE Tag Team Champions. Eventually we have the TLC 2, and Jeff Hardy eats the spear seen around the world in TLC 2 at Wrestlemania 17. Man, I wish that had been in Toronto. But, again, it's one of those, it just sticks in your head. Intercontinental Championships. And yeah, eventually when Jeff Hardy had his second run in WWE, he did get WWE Champion, Tag Team, or World Heavyweight Champion, and all that. First of all, far too late, in my opinion. Far too late. And yeah, WWE has their reasons. Jeff Hardy has his demons, all that sort of thing. But there's a couple things that stick out. And people always ask me, well, you're a Hardy guy, what's the standard question? What was your favorite Hardy moment? And it's not him winning the championship. It's not him even winning the #1 contendership match when he beat Triple H. When he walked up to Triple H, who had been so condescending to him leading up to that match, and slapped him in the face and said, "Come on." come on, fight me. Which was an electric moment in WWE history. But what's my favorite moment with as far as being a Jeff Hardy fan? SmackDown. SmackDown, American Badass Undertaker versus Jeff Hardy ladder match for the WWE Championship, because, you know, they were trying sort of to have Hardy do a heel turn. They never really got the hang of it in WWE. TNA did a great job of making him a heel, but WWE never really got the hang of it. But he challenged Undertaker to a ladder match, which I thought was awesome, because basically he said to the Undertaker, the biggest name in the in the history of the WWE, yeah, come to my world, and by the way, bring your title with you. He didn't win that match, and that's okay. Going back to my point that I said before, if you get it, you appreciate it, no matter who gets the 1, 2, 3. But it was the moment after the match where Undertaker, who I think Undertaker was also fully heel at that point. Somebody's going to correct me, I'm sure. But he beat Jeff Hardy. And at the time, it was unfathomable that Jeff Hardy would be the WWE champion anyway. Jeff Hardy looked like a fucking rag doll. Used that ladder to pull himself to his feet, grabbed a microphone and said, "Hey, dead man, I'm not dead yet." And Taker came down and beat him down again. And called him out again. The second time, Undertaker just came into the ring and shook his head and patted him on the shoulder and raised his hand and left. That is the prime memory for me for Jeff Hardy. In TNA, he's doing good. He managed to pull off a successful heel turn in TNA, which I thought was awesome. Managed to have a wicked series of matches with Kurt Angle, which I wish would continue. But there's a couple things that Jeff Hardy never got from WWE, and these are all crimes. Jeff Hardy never won the Royal Rumble. That's a crime. For the amount of stuff that Jeff Hardy did, for what Jeff Hardy and those guys at the time did for the tag team division, they deserved more than they got. Jeff Hardy never winning the Royal Rumble, it sits bad with me. Jeff Hardy was synonymous with the ladder match. Synonymous. Like, you could not mention ladder matches without Jeff Hardy. You could not mention Jeff Hardy without ladder matches. Like I say, ladder match with The Undertaker. You know, Undertaker, you're coming to my world, bring your title because I'm going to take it. You know, that was the attitude. And the third thing that I want more than anything else, the thing that I'm never going to get, is to come to a Wrestlemania, have Undertaker standing in that ring, have the strobe lights come up, have the black lights come down, have No More Words crackle over every speaker in that arena, and have the charismatic Enigma come home to a WrestleMania main event where I believe he belongs. That's what I want. So anybody that wants to say, you know, Preston, you know, complaining that Ray isn't on WWE programming right now, I've actually seen people make comments on Twitter, and I'm not going to mention names because it's not about that. I've heard people refer to Preston as, you know, a little kid crying because he didn't get what the hell was it? Crying because he didn't get what he wanted for Christmas. Well, wrestling is a religion. We all debate the theology. We all believe in different things. It does demand a cult-like following at times. So wrestling, quite honestly, is a religion. WrestleMania is our Christmas. And Preston, sadly, neither one of us is getting what we want for Christmas, man. Hopefully you will. I know I won't. So I guess let's hope Ray comes back soon so one of us can have a nice holiday. Now, on to John's question to me about my Fave 5 and what do I expect from my Fave 5 for my Fave 5 at WrestleMania. The Miz. He's in a bit of hot water with the WWE right now. And very, very mistreated as far as I'm concerned. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm losing my voice, but we're almost done. Miz is getting very misused, very mistreated, and getting the shaft in the WWE right now. he's getting blamed for the low buy rates of Survivor Series, where really I'm not gonna dwell on that too much, because one more link that I'm going to put in this description down below, I'm putting John's video down here, I'm putting Preston's video down here, I'm putting Mr. Parkin from British Fist's video down here as well, because he did a proper rant on how WWE is treating The Miz. But I will paraphrase. Why don't you look at your two supposed main eventers for WrestleMania as to why SummerSlam didn't sell so well? Why don't you look to the fact that you didn't, build it very well? Why don't you build to the fact that the match was a foregone conclusion? The fact that, we all want to see The Rock destroy John Cena. We don't want to see them on the same team playing nicey nice. The fact that The Miz and R-Truth were built like it didn't even matter who they were, because Cena and The Rock were going to win regardless. They're looking for a scapegoat as to the declining, ratings and declining pay-per-view buys and all that sort of thing. And right now it seems to be The Miz. Let's think way, way, way back when the scapegoat was Triple H and look at where he is now. So WWE, you've been wrong before, you will be wrong again, and you are wrong now. Yeah, Miz botched a move with R-Truth, and R-Truth could have gotten hurt. R-Truth did get hurt. He was taken out of the match. He landed on his head. Miz missed him. Mistakes happen. People botch. Randy Orton botched an RKO this week. Owen Hart, God rest his soul, botched a pile driver that almost killed Steve Austin. And, you didn't flush him down the toilet. Miz makes a great scapegoat, I guess, because I don't even know why. He pissed in somebody's cornflakes in the back and, shit in the back of their back tank of their toilet instead of the front. I don't see Miz going very far with this WrestleMania. I can see him maybe continuing his rivalry with R-Truth. I can see, they say, or the dirt sheets say, that he's going to turn face and go up against a heel Alberto Del Rio for the U.S. Championship after WrestleMania. Not really looking forward to that at all. Could I see him versus Truth versus Swagger, U.S. Championship match at Mania? Maybe. Could I see him being sort of an underutilized guy in Money in the Bank? Maybe. What I would like to see, I would like to see Miz get a payback from last year. I would like to see Miz get the spotlight that he was promised at last year's WrestleMania that was robbed from him by John Cena and The Rock, because that was a fucking crime. Not only did Miz take a backseat to those two fucks, but the WWE Championship took a backseat to those two fucks. I honestly, out of all the guys here, I don't have high hopes for The Miz. I really don't. It's sad, because I think Miz is great. I used to be hesitant about saying this. I am no longer hesitant about saying this. Miz is the next Edge. I'm a huge Edge fan. Edge and I are both from Toronto. Miz, if given the opportunity, if given the proper push, if given the proper shove, if tied to the right rocket, could go to the moon and be the next Edge. Oh yes. Does WWE see that? Rhodes. Here's the only time I'm ever going to say I do not want one of my favorite guys to be in Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank is an awesome match, and Rhodes has been in it before. He has done great in it. Rhodes is so synonymous with the Intercontinental Championship right now. He needs to have an Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania. The Intercontinental Championship itself needs to have a match at WrestleMania. Now, a lot of people are shitting on the Goldust idea. I'm not crazy about it, but at the same time I will always be a sucker for a family story. Goldust and Cody Rhodes are brothers. I marked out when the Hardys had a match at Mania. I marked out when Bret Hart fought Owen Hart. Excuse me. Marked out when Edge fought Christian back when they were actually called brothers and not just, best friends or whatever. Marked out when Kane fights The Undertaker, even though they're not really brothers. That family element, that sibling rivalry element, has always done it for me. So no, Goldust is not the greatest anymore. He's not as great as he used to be, and even then he wasn't as great as Cody Rhodes is now. So will it be a less than stellar match? Absolutely. But no, John, I have to disagree with you on this one point. I do not want to revel in Goldust's mediocrity. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just not going to take the same pleasure in it as you, I guess. My hope for Rhodes, honestly, is to go in there, have a decent match with Justin Gabriel, maybe drop the Intercontinental Championship to Justin Gabriel, and have 2012 be the year that Rhodes moves up and gets the world title shot. Because ultimately, what I would love to see would be Rhodes Bryan for the world title. That's what I want for Rhodes. Punk, it's going to be Punk Jericho, one way or another, whether Punk's the champion, whether Punk's the challenger, whether they swap belts at the Elimination Chamber and then fight again at WrestleMania. I don't even care who wins this. That's the point I'm at right now. Jericho's not even in my Fave 5, Jericho's not even in my Fave 5, and Punk is the crown jewel of my Fave 5, if I can say that, if that makes sense. This match, sadly, will be third banana to Taker, Triple H, and Rock Cena. It's the WWE Championship between two wrestlers. When was the last time the WWE Championship was contested at WrestleMania between two wrestlers? Not superstars. Wrestlers. And it's going to be third banana. It's going to be the match of the night. I'm a big mark for Money in the Bank, but this match is going to supersede Money in the Bank. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I look for Punk to put on a hell of a show with Jericho. I look for Punk to solidify Jericho's return, and for Jericho to solidify Punk's place as a main eventer. They will be so mutually beneficial to each other that it will be amazing. And who walks out of with the championship that night will be almost irrelevant. I will not say irrelevant because it's the fucking WWE Championship, but it will be almost irrelevant. That's what I'm looking for from Punk at Mania. Ziggler, and this is a pipe dream, Ziggler needs to dominate Money in the Bank. Ziggler, I don't care who else they put in there, Ziggler needs to win Money in the Bank. That's what he needs to do. He needs to win Money in the Bank, and then he needs to go on the same night and challenge the winner of Punk and Jericho. That's what I want to see from Ziggler. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Do I think they'll even give him Money in the Bank? I hope so. It's a two-part dream. One part is feasible, the other part is, you know, it's the after effects of me hanging out with too many stoners, the second part of that dream. But how great would it be? The show-off goes in against, 2, 4, 6, 8 other guys in Money in the Bank, dominates them all, and then goes from there, watches the two greatest wrestlers on Raw go at each other, destroy each other, take each other apart. Now think, Jericho and Punk potentially are both great submission wrestlers, so they could literally break each other in half, and the show-off could come in and pick up the pieces, and it could be Ziggler's Mania. That's what I would love to see for Ziggler. And Orton. John speculated that, because I'm an Orton mark, and it's true, that I want to see Orton go back to the top of the pile. I want to see him return to prominence, as he said. And my response to that is, Orton, the Orton that I am a fan of these days, doesn't need to be on top. Orton has gotten the push. Orton has gotten the Cena push on SmackDown. Difference between Cena and Orton is Orton deserves it. Orton has paid forward everything that he's got. He's made everybody, since dropping the title to Mark Henry, which was the first step, he had his great rivalry with Christian that made Christian look great, even though it was a losing effort. Went in, made Mark Henry look beast, dropped the title to Mark Henry, and then spent the rest of the year making everybody else look great. Now, why does that work? Because it's the only job Orton has left to do. Honestly. He's been Intercontinental Champion. He's been Tag Team Champions with multiple people, including Edge, in Rated RKO, which was awesome, including Ric Flair, was it, when he was in Evolution? I think, maybe? Anyways, regardless, he's held the Tag Team Championships with multiple people. He's held multiple WWE Champions, multiple World Heavyweight Championships. He has been through Hell in a Cell with The Undertaker. He has been through hardcore matches with Mick Foley. He has been in every conceivable match imaginable with the big names like Cena, like Triple H, like Batista. He has played heel to a T. He has been the devious Viper Predator guy. He's been the face guy. He was the first person to turn on Triple H when Evolution fell apart. He's done it all. He's main evented WrestleMania. He's had his Legend versus Legend killer with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. He's won the Royal Rumble. I look for Orton these days to do what he's been doing. He is the legitimizer now. That is his role. Undertaker and Triple H were the legitimizers for Jeff Hardy. They were the two guys that Hardy faced that made the world realize. When he fought Undertaker, it was a bit early. When he fought Triple H, it was definitely time. Those were the two guys that Jeff Hardy faced that made people realize he was a legit main eventer. And that is what Orton is doing for everybody now. Look at what he's done. I'm gonna say it again. I've said it in so many videos now I can almost rhyme it off the top of my head. Look at what he did for Rhodes. Look at what he did for Ziggler. Look at what he's done for Wade Barrett and Sheamus. I really, really hope they continue the Orton Barrett thing right up into WrestleMania, because Orton Barrett deserves to be at WrestleMania. It really does. Now, a month ago, 2 months ago, would I have even said I want to see Wade Barrett at WrestleMania? I would have been hesitant, to say the least. But because of all the work that he has done with Randy Orton, and that speaks volumes. When you are so good that you can lay out, make the young guys look good, and you don't tarnish any of your armor yourself, that is when you know you have arrived. He has taken that job. He has taken that duty, that responsibility from guys like Shawn Michaels, from guys like Triple H. So do I want Orton to come back to prominence? Would I like to see Orton in a main event again? Sure. Would I like to see him go to Raw and destroy John Cena? Good God, yes. But he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to. Because I, as a Randy Orton fan, as John said, a proud Randy Orton mark, am more proud of what Orton is doing now for the rest of the company. That is what I expect to see from Orton at Mania. That's what I want to see from Orton at Mania. Yeah, that's it. I really don't think I have anything else to say. I've rambled on for a good 45 minutes now, and it hurts. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I really, really want every single one of you, if you're not familiar with Beer Money 2K, John and Preston, if you're not familiar with Mr. Parkin from the British Fist, I'm going to put those 3 video links down in the description box below. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't go check them out. I can promise you that. Me to you. I can promise you that. Anyways, this has been Road Signs, the Reflection Edition. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you expect from WrestleMania. Don't be a stranger, and I will talk to all of you guys later. Thanks. Bye. I'm tagging out.